Nobody hands you the Masters. Not the practice rounds, not the preparation, not the six-shot lead. Nothing hands it to you. Rory McIlroy learned that again this week. And somehow, after everything, he walked out of Augusta National with a green jacket still on his shoulders. Last year, he told himself the difficulty was tied to the Grand Slam chase. The weight of history, the pressure of completing something only 5 men had ever done. He convinced himself that was why it felt so hard. This year stripped that story away completely. There was no Grand Slam on the line. No historic sweep to distract him. Just the Masters. Just the hardest 72 holes in professional golf. And it was every bit as brutal as it has ever been. He did the bulk of his work on Thursday and Friday. Hit the ball cleanly, managed the course, built a cushion that felt, at least from the outside, like breathing room. 6 shots going into the weekend. 6 shots. In any other tournament, on any other course, that is a closed case. You go home, you pack your trophy, you sleep easy. But Augusta National does not work that way, and Rory McIlroy knows Augusta National better than almost anyone alive. He said it himself. If someone had walked up to him Friday evening and said all you need to do is shoot even par for the weekend and the jacket is yours, he would not have believed them. He would have laughed. He was preparing mentally to go low, preparing to shoot under par both days, to force the issue, to win the tournament rather than simply survive it. Instead, the course had other plans. Saturday was gettable. The conditions set up for scoring, and the field took advantage. Sunday was a different animal entirely. The wind came up. It turned gusty, unpredictable, swirling in ways that made every decision harder and every commitment more fraught. The back nine in particular became a test of something deeper than ball striking. It became a test of nerve. Rory went to the range Saturday night and worked. Not for show, not for the cameras, but because he felt something in his swing that needed addressing. He found it. His irons were sharper Sunday. His ball striking was more solid overall. But Augusta always finds the moment where ball striking alone is not enough, and it found that moment late in the round. The up and down on 16. The up and down on 17. 2 moments where the tournament could have slipped away and didn't. Short games saving with a long game couldn't fully protect. That is the Masters. That is always the Masters. Go back to the 12th hole and understand what happened there, because it was one of the great shots of the entire week, and it almost looked routine. The wind was in off the left. Rays Creek waiting. The pin tucked where it always seems to be when the pressure is highest. McIlroy stood on that tee and did something that takes more discipline than most people realize. He waited. He didn't react to what the wind felt like in that moment. He didn't rush. He reached back 16 years in his memory to a practice round he played here in 2009 with Tom Watson. Watson told him on that tee to always wait until you feel where the wind should be coming from, not where it seems to be coming from, and then commit and hit it. So that's what he did. Standing there, the wind felt like it was off the right. He looked over at the 11th flag, right to left. He was patient. He waited until the feel matched the knowledge. Then a 3/4 9 iron, aimed at the middle of the bunker, hit with the kind of controlled, neutralized ball flight he'd been working on the night before on the range. It drifted a little more right than he'd planned, but he'd built in the margin. He'd done the thinking before the shot, so the shot could just be a shot. That is experience. That is what 16 years at Augusta looks like when it shows up in a single swing. 15 was a different kind of story. A moment where golf showed its capacity for pure cruelty and then, at the last second, pulled its punch. McIlroy laid up deliberately, not because he was scared, but because he was thinking, coming off a downslope to a firm green with the wind at his back. Too short a yardage means a wedge that skips through and finds the water. So he gave himself 108 yards to the pin. The plan was a 3/4 lob wedge, land at 8 paces short, let release up toward the flag. Clean, controlled, professional. What he hadn't fully accounted for was the valley effect, the way the wind in that little dip actually knocks the ball down rather than carrying it. The shot came up well short, and for a moment, it was close, very close to coming back into the water. He said himself, thanking his lucky stars. Augusta gives those moments, and Augusta takes them away, And on 15 this week, it gave one back. He made the iron, gave himself the cushion he needed heading up 18, and kept moving. The number in his head all day was 14 under. He finished at 13, one shot short of his own target, 2 shots clear of the field. Close enough. When someone asked him about the mental side of this game, about why a player is never quite the same from one day to the next, McIlroy gave an answer that only someone who has lived inside this sport at the highest level could give. Golf gives you time. Too much time. Time between shots, time between rounds, time in the quiet of a hotel room at midnight when the thoughts come whether you invite them or not. He talked about the 13th tee, how he'd hit it perfectly every single practice round leading into the week. Monday, Tuesday, no issues. Wednesday of tournament week, he pulled 2 shots left off that tee. And just like that, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the fairway was gone. One bad swing. One seed of doubt planted in that quiet space between decisions. And it grows. That's what this game does to you. It finds a crack, and it works on it. Staying in the same mental space for 4 consecutive days, not just confident, but consistently calibrated, is the single hardest thing in professional golf. Not the swing, not the putting, the mind. Staying in the same place mentally while the tournament changes shape around you, while the lead grows and shrinks and grows again, while the wind shifts and the crowd moves and the scoreboard tells stories you weren't expecting. That is the game inside the game. His parents were in the gallery on Sunday. He caught himself thinking about them a few times out on the course and had to push it away. Not yet. Not until it's done. They'd missed last year, and they convinced themselves their absence was somehow responsible for his victory, that they were the variable, that their presence was bad luck. He had to talk them into coming this year, had to persuade them to trust that the win had nothing to do with where they were standing. And standing on the putting green after it was all done, he looked over at them and felt the full weight of it. None of it happens without them. The early mornings, the junior tournaments, the flights, the sacrifices that parents make for children who love a sport before they understand what it costs. He said he wanted to celebrate with them that evening. That's the part that doesn't make the highlight reel, but is somehow the whole point. Someone mentioned that John Clark had congratulated him with the words, "Never a dull moment." McIlroy smiled at that. He acknowledged it freely. He doesn't make it easy anymore. In his early 20s, he could win by 8 shots. He could separate himself from the field so decisively that the back 9 on Sunday was a formality. That version of the game is gone now, and he knows it. It's just hard to win golf tournaments, especially this one. Especially here, where the course is specifically designed to produce chaos and heartbreak and tight finishes. He walked into the locker room dining area on Saturday and sat down with Shane Lowry and Tyrrell Hatton. Both of them had finished their rounds thinking they were 1 or 2 back, and then watched the leaderboard completely reorganize itself while they ate. He told them, "Boys, there's a long way to go." And he meant it in both directions. He wasn't home and dry. He still needed to execute. He still believed he needed to go under par on Sunday to win. Instead, even par was enough. And even par on that Sunday, on that course, in those conditions, was harder than it sounds. That's what Augusta does. It makes even par feel like an achievement. It makes a 6-shot lead feel fragile. It makes 16 years of preparation feel like barely enough. And then, when it's all over, when the last putt drops and the crowd exhales and the green jacket gets settled on your shoulder for the second time, it makes all of it, the doubt, the wind, the near misses, the late nights on the range, the 4 a.m. text messages, the years of coming so close. It makes all of it feel like it was exactly the right amount of work to get to exactly this moment. Rory McIlroy is a Masters champion again, and Augusta National, as it always does, made him earn every single inch of it.